Sans' eye socket sprang open, his left eye flickering yellow and blue. He stared at the ceiling for a few long moments before slowly sitting up. Hadn't been a dream? He rubbed his head and pushed himself out of bed to look out his window. Everything seemed fine. Normal. There was a knock at the door. "Sans, you need to get up. You're already late for your jobs." Sans slowly rubbed at his chin and turned to the door. Yeah, Pap. I'm up. I'll be right out." At least he knew Papyrus was safe. "Are you feeling alright?" "Damn it." Sans smacked at his face a few times to try and get himself together, at least for his brother's sake. "Yeah, I'm fine, bro. Just sat up too fast, is all," he managed to say, without mumbling or stuttering. This seemed to be enough to satisfy the skeleton behind the door. "Okay, I made a breakfast. Please wash up before you leave." At those words, Sans felt a chill go up his spine. Déjà vu again. Had this happened before? Well, of course it has, but this was too similar. Hadn't he just experienced nearly the same thing? The day went by almost exactly the same as before. He went to his posts, to Grillby's, check on Papyrus, his other posts, then right back to Grillby's when it got later in the day. Of course there was nothing strange about his routine, but things felt too similar. Things, people said, felt like they lined up too perfectly with something he had heard before. Then, as the night drew on, he saw the guard rush in and whisper to the dogs before they all ran out. The same murmur began anew, but this time Sans didn't ask about the flower. He sat there, staring out at the crowd inside before slowly turning to stare at the cups and bottles behind the bar. Part of him wanted to stay. He felt like he hadn't done that before when everything started over, but if something really was happening, he couldn't not go make sure Papyrus was okay. Without saying anything to Grillby this time, Sans slipped off the stool and landed on the floor. He stood there for a moment, expecting something but unsure what exactly. When nothing happened, he started towards the door. His hand reached for the knob. The cold air blowing open his puffy jacket. Then everything went black. Sans opened his eyes laying in his bed, the same blue and yellow flickering in his sockets. What was? He jumped out of bed perhaps a little too quickly, stumbling backwards and onto the edge of his bare mattress. After shaking his head and sitting for a moment, he realized that his eyes was still flickering. That was weird, but maybe it meant something. Maybe he didn't fully understand it like he thought he did. Sans groaned and rubbed his eye socket. After regaining some of his composure, he stood and walked to his dresser, opening one of the drawers to pull out the key to his lap. His slippers and coat were hurriedly put on, and just as he was opening his bedroom door to run out, Papyrus was at the top of the stairs. "Sans?" They stared at each other for an instant, before Sans yanked his eyes away and started to hurry down the steps past Papyrus. "I'm fine, bro. Just remembered something I gotta do, is all." Before Papyrus could open his mouth to inquire, Sans was already out of the door. He ran around the back of the house, unlocking his lock and quickly shutting the door behind him. His hands scrambled for the drawers of his desk, opening and closing them until he found his logbook. He tore it open to the latest page, but as he began to read it, he could feel something strange. Sans snapped his head upwards, eye flashing. Was this? The world felt like it shut off, but only for a split of a second. Sans found himself standing outside the door to his lab, key inches from the lock. He stood there, staring. A logbook wasn't needed for this. He could feel it. The resets were coming so fast and so often that he didn't even have the time to forget completely. The usual flashbacks that slipped away had turned to creepy déjà vu, which in turn were starting to become in clear memories. He could feel the burn of his eyes still glowing. Each reset setting off his powers and putting him on a high alert. Sans rubbed his eye and stashed the key in one of the pockets of his jacket, before turning the opposite direction and beginning to walk. Unsure of why he was walking or even where, Sans put one foot in front of the other. Why were so many resets happening in such quick succession? Who was doing it? Sans finally stopped, upon reaching one of Papyrus's puzzles. He stared at it and let his mind go blank for a moment. Just a moment of peace, a moment to rest his mind. His eye sockets closed and he hung his head. Stay calm. Clear your head. The tickle in the back of his head returned. Sans head snapped up, eye glimmering. No. Again? Wait. He whispered to no one in particular. A futile word, lost to the world as everything went black.